This article surfaced today. Dog bite wounds treated in Oxfordshire hospitals on the rise. They say that basic dog training is not enough to prevent dog attacks. Think about that. Really? When I read this, I was scratching my head like, where are they going with this? What do you mean? Basic dog training is not enough. So they start babbling a little bit, and then they get the opinion or input from three different experts. The first is Owen Sharp, Chief Executive at Dogs Trust. He said, basic training of dogs is not enough. Close supervision of children and dogs while interacting is the most effective way of preventing incidents. Now, wait a minute. Why are you talking about children? Suddenly, this is an article about children. There are no children mentioned in the headline. They just said dog bite wounds treated are on the rise. Now, they've done this several times in articles that I've shared. And that's their way of letting you know without saying it. This rise in dog bites is primarily children. Primarily children. And that's exactly why this culture is so immoral and sick. Because it's sacrifice. These attacks have to happen for these dogs to exist. And they know it. Everybody knows it. But look at this. This gets a whole lot worse. Immediately, they start blaming children's behavior right off the bat. He continues, unfortunately, when the worst does happen, meaning an attack, not only are children injured, but it can have a devastating impact on the family pet, with some dogs being handed over to organizations like ours for rehoming, or in some cases, euthanized. Look at that. Look at how they worded that. When the worst does happen, when the dog does attack your child, not only is the child injured, but it can also have a devastating impact on the family pet. And it can get handed over to organizations like ours for rehoming or euthanasia, as if that is what you really need to be worried about. Your child injured, oh, that's minor. Let me tell you what your real problem is: the loss of your dog. Now, the crazy thing, this is very crazy. The crazy thing about this paragraph, about this direct quote, is that the way that it should have read is, unfortunately, when the worst does happen, not only do you lose your dog or it gets euthanized, but you can have a permanently disfigured child or a deceased child. Period. That's how it should have read in a normal world. In a world of sane, humane people. Okay? This is very disrespectful. That's just one way of putting it. You could describe this using many different words. Feel free to help us out in the comment section. But when I first read this, I froze. And I had to read it again. Okay, moving on. It said other data shows, and they start sharing some more. And look at this. Dr. Samantha Gaines. I've talked about her several times. She's made some of the most vile, inhumane, disgusting statements you ever want to hear. Samantha Gaines, head of companion animals at RSPCA, said, "We don't ever expect our dogs to bite, but all dogs can. It doesn't matter what size or breed they are. Parents and guardians naturally love the idea of their child having a close bond with the family dog, and in many cases they do. But having a close bond doesn't mean that the dog will never bite. She added a small amount of research by pet owners on dog body language would prevent countless accidents. Katrina Phillips, Chief Executive of Child Accident Prevention Trust. Look at the title of that right there. Child Accident Prevention Trust. You would think that this is some type of pro-child safety organization, right? Child Accident Prevention Trust. Oh, I don't know. Help kids with their balance or whatever. But look at what she said, Katrina Phillips. She said, give your dog a safe space they can go when they need time out from children's exuberance. Even a much-loved family pet can bite if they feel they have no other option. Now, why would they feel that they have no other option? Whenever they say this, they are saying no other option because the child keeps pestering me. The child keeps violating me, keeps staring at me, throwing things at me, taking things from me, hitting me, pulling my ears, pulling my tails. They have cemented this narrative into dog nutter information bases. Like all of their experts regurgitate this very talking point, and you never see it on film. And we've watched hundreds of dog attacks on children. We've never seen it. They are all unprovoked completely. Each of the dog attack reports that I read where there is no video of the attack, they specify it was unprovoked. So these so-called experts are making this up. And actually, someone made it up at some point in history, and the subsequent so-called experts simply read what they wrote and regurgitated it. I think we're dealing with a group of people who are simply incapable of assessing a situation independently. That is, looking at the information, the evidence, the data for themselves and drawing their own conclusion. And that's very, very sad. So let's hope that this changes as soon as possible.